answer session with the brother there in the center.
Dr. Zakir Naik, I want to ask you about the time period you quoted that suppose for 2 years a certain amount has been invested in the bank, and suppose the entrepreneur fails to earn a profit or a loss in the 2 years and it takes time, so the bank is liable to take the money back or not?
The brother posed the question that suppose the bank, Islamic bank, gives a particular amount for 2 years and that businessman fails to make any profit or loss in that 2 years, does the bank have the right to take back the money? It depends upon the conditions. If the term fixed for the loan taken from the Islamic bank is 2 years, then the bank has a right to take back the money, irrespective whether it makes a profit or loss. But if the bank feels that if another 6 months is given to the businessman, maybe he will make a profit, the bank can surely extend the period to 2.5 years or to 3 years, depending upon how productive is the business. It depends on the discretion of the bank. Hope that answers the question. But the main difference is that if the loss is there, the businessman in the Mudareba system does not bear the loss is borne by the bank. So the businessman is yet not going any loss, direct loss. The loss is borne by the Islamic bank. Hope that answers the question.
Excuse me, my question to you is in connection with the housing loan and all that is given to people by the banks. Could you please tell what is the system under the Islamic law, under the Islamic banking, which helps people to obtain at least a shelter for themselves?
Brother posed the question that suppose a person, he wants to buy a house, and if he wants a loan, how does the modern bank differs in giving loan for housing as compared to the Islamic bank? The main difference is that in the modern bank, suppose you want a loan for buying a house, but naturally you should have a particular percentage. It may be 25% or 50% of that house, or 40%, whatever the bank has as rules, you have to pay of that house. 25%, 40% or 50% of that house, initially you have to pay. The remaining balance, 75% or 60% or 50%, it's paid by the bank. And suppose the house cost for 3 lakhs, or it cost for 4 lakhs. The initial 1 lakh you paid, the remaining 3 lakh is paid by the modern bank. And say you want a time period of 5 years. So the modern bank take into account that 3 lakh loan has been taken from the modern bank. You will be repaying it in 3 years' time. And the interest rate for 3 years is calculated, whatever the amount will be. It may be 40,000 or 50,000 rupees. So it calculates the initial loan it has given you plus the interest. Say the interest is about 50,000. So the 3 lakh loan and 50,000 interest is paid in a period of 3 years. 3,50,000 is paid in installments. This 3,50,000 is divided by the number of months. That is 36 months. So every month you pay an installment of say somewhere around close to 10,000 rupees, 9,500, whatever it is, you pay. So the system of the modern bank is based on interest. The amount it has given you loan and the time period you take, the loan plus interest is the installments you pay. But natural, since it involves riba, it involves interest, it is haram in Islam. The system of the Islamic banking is different. There are various different types of systems. The loan that you take from the Islamic bank, there are various ways in which you can take loans. Different banks have got different schemes. Some banks have the scheme that suppose you pay part, again you have to pay 25% or 40% or 50% of the initial amount of that flat. Out of 4 lakh you pay 1 lakh. The remaining 3 lakh is given to you by the Islamic bank. Now the Islamic bank calculates that what is the average monthly rent of that house. Say it may be about 15,000 per month. Since you have paid 25% of the initial amount of that house and 75% is paid by the Islamic bank, the rent is divided. 25% of the rent you don't pay, the remaining 75% you pay. Whatever the amount comes to, every month. Since 75% of the house has been financed by the Islamic bank, 25% by you. So here you calculate the rent. And at the end of 3 years, they see to it that suppose they want a particular profit. So the Islamic bank says, I want a profit of about 40,000 rupees. I want a profit of 30,000 rupees at the end of 3 months. So 3 lakhs they have given to you. Plus the 30,000 is added as profit. The 3.3 lakh is divided in the 36 months as installments. But here, it is not calculated on interest, it is calculated on profit. And every month you're paying rent. Every month you're paying rent of that house. That's one of the ways of taking loans. For example, if you go in the Al-Amin Bank, they have an Ashiana scheme, housing scheme, where you might, suppose you say that after 4 years I'm going to get married, after 3 years I'm going to get married. They encourage you to start saving from now. So every month you can deposit either 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees or 3,000 rupees of that amount in the Al-Amin Bank. It goes in the Ashiana scheme. And whatever you deposit, it is invested in the Mudareba system. And you get profit on that. So at the end of 3 years, every year you keep on depositing 3,000 rupees, whatever it is. At the end of 3 years, it becomes 3 multiplied by 36. It becomes more than 1 lakh rupees. 1,08,000 and plus the profit. With the profit it comes to 1,25,000 or 1,50,000. So now the remaining 1.5 lakh is given to you by the Al-Amin Bank on the same basis, which is based on the rent. It's based on profit, it's not based on interest. So anything we deal with interest is haram. Anything we deal with profit and loss is allowed. Hope that answers the question.
Any question from the ladies' side?
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. What are we supposed to do with the interest money we have? Some says you can utilize the interest money for constructing toilet and bathroom.
The sister posed the question that what are we supposed to do with the interest money we have? Some say that you can utilize that money for constructing bathrooms and toilets. Firstly, as a Muslim, you should not involve yourself in interest at all. So if you don't involve yourself in interest, the question of you having interest money does not arise. You are not supposed to keep a single pie in any institute, in any bank which deals with interest. So if you don't keep your money in interest-based institute, you will not have interest money, so the question will not arise, where are you supposed to invest that money? Suppose today you have decided that today you have realized that interest is haram. It is prohibited. And you say, okay, I will refrain from it. If a person has to repent, there are 3 criteria required. First, he should realize the thing he is doing is haram. It is prohibited. Second, he should stop it immediately. Third, he should not involve in it in future. So today if you realize that interest is haram, and if you have some money remaining with you, then I would say that spend it in the way of Allah. But if you say, I will keep my money in the modern bank in the fixed deposit, on the savings account, and whatever money I get regularly, whatever money I get every year, I will give it in the way of constructing toilets, constructing bathrooms. Some say you can spend it on footwear. From where they get this, I don't know. Interest is haram, and the money of that interest is also haram. I would like to ask a question. That suppose there's a person who's dealing in drugs, who's dealing in cocaine and brown sugar. Since intoxicant has been prohibited in the Qur'an, he says that I have invested 1 lakh rupees.